Okay, so let me welcome everyone back, and those who are now viewing this broadcast to our Selectmen's meeting on Tuesday, January 12, 2016. The Board of Selectmen commenced the meeting at 6:04 p.m. tonight and entered immediately into executive session to discuss a number of litigation matters and some contractual negotiation items. We exited executive session approximately 15 minutes ago, and we're in recess until this moment. So as we enter into our traditional open meeting, let me invite everyone to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So let me also note at the outset of this portion of our meeting that Selectman Kratman, who normally sits to my immediate right, did participate in the executive session, and unfortunately, due to an unanticipated work situation, had to leave the building to tend to some business. So he will not be with us for the remainder of the meeting, but I do want to emphasize that he did participate, and as we move further through the agenda, you'll note that we'll talk about some items that pertain to decisions made in executive session that we'll speak to here in the public session, and I did want to note that Selectman Kratman did participate in those discussions and any votes in executive session. The next item on our agenda, or first item on our open agenda, is to ask if there are any residents who wish to speak to the Board of Selectmen. I don't see any residents present, so I'll move to the next item, and that brings us to the topic of the town manager's annual performance review. But before we do that, to appropriately follow the contractual obligations that we set forth and agreed to as a board and mutually agreed to with the town manager, this evening's first purpose relative to the contract would be to review his goals that you established roughly a year ago, and speak to those, and then ask you, if you would, Mr. Montori, to review for us or propose to us your prospective goals for the upcoming year.
Okay. Just to go back over the goals that I brought forward to the board last year, and just and how we've done to date. And usually, because it's mid-year, the goals stretch from one fiscal year to another. So some issues are still ongoing. One of the goals for last year was to continue the capital projects and improve planning within the town. Within that goal, one of the items was the town hall project, and as you know, that's been brought to completion this year. We still have some punch list items to deal with and some minor items, but the project's been complete. We moved back into the building over the Thanksgiving week, and so far everything's been operational. We still have some items to finish. As a punch list, and we're still finalizing some audio-visual items to broadcast meetings live. How to do that over the next few weeks. So that's one project that was finished. Upgraded the town's microwave system, which is our radio communication and data communication system. That project was complete. It was a $100,000 project that took place over the last year. Microwaves have been upgraded to allow for increased use for our communication system throughout the town. Another project that was on the list was the design of the water treatment plant upgrades. That also was completed this year. The project for the construction of the water treatment plant went out to bid, and has started this past month. Upgrade of the school playground was another item I had on my list last year under the capital projects and improved planning. The equipment was purchased. this year, and the installation will take place in the spring. I haven't had a lot involved in that project. Paige has done a terrific job fostering that project along, as well as the school business manager. They've kept me involved when it needs to be done. And then finally, one of the things we wanted to do this past year, and continue this year, is develop a short, long-range plan for the recreation fields in town, the maintenance of those fields. And a couple of things, we never really got to a long-range plan. We hope to do that over the next year. But the short term, what we've done, we had funding approved the town meeting to the new fencing at the fields, as well as turf management. Those are ongoing. We did go out to bid for new fencing, and the prices came in higher than budgeted. So we're kind of piecemealing it, doing some of the work this year, and hopefully get additional funding at the upcoming town meeting. We did do some turf management over this past year to improve the lacrosse fields and the infields and the baseball fields. So that took place. But also one of the things we did, which I think is going to be a big help to the recreation of the Parks Department, we're going to move the Parks staff from being a separate standalone department. We're moving them into the DPW highway. That's going to do a couple of things. It's going to provide better supervision and oversight of the staff. It's also going to provide some better support to the staff when people are either out or need help. We have other manpower to help out. And when there's downtime in the parks, that staff can help the DPW, so they work for both. That'll take place over the next couple of weeks. And I just think the supervision and oversight and planning will be better served by anyone within DPW. The other thing we did this past year that will help in this area, both the short term and the long term, there are two people that are in that department over the past year and a half to 2 years. One of the individuals is both the parks laborer and the animal control officer, splitting their time, so really didn't do justice to either job. Now that we have our animal control being regionalized with the worker, and the worker's doing a terrific job for us, this individual now is a dedicated employee to the parks and will continue to be that way. Also, it's a heavy equipment operator, so they can do more things than labor. So I think you'll see more attention put to recreation facilities in the parks by these changes, and you'll see more improvement. So the goal wasn't fully met, but I think we've made strides over last year. Another goal that was brought forward last year was to develop new, improved, updated policies, bylaws for the town. One thing I want to do, and Charles has been helpful in this area, is just to develop policies for the board when it comes to liquor licenses, use of this building, use of the common, just normal things you're doing on every week basis, just to set policies and guidelines for the board for consistency purposes. There are some good models from other communities. Charles has provided me some good models, and it's just I need to focus on doing that. So that's a goal that hasn't been met, but is ongoing. The other is to review and update the town bylaws and recommend any changes. That also is not complete, but one of the things that's been ongoing is we're reviewing the personnel bylaws that's within our town bylaw for update. That hasn't been updated in many years, and needs to be done for all of the personnel bylaw employees. And then we put together, the board knows, a zoning bylaw review committee. Funds were put in place to update the zoning bylaws. Hopefully that takes place over the next year. I know Steve Savick has been working on an RFP to hire a consultant, and we're looking for people to fill the committee. And then I think the bylaws in general just need to be reviewed. That discussion, whether it's the charter change that was done this past year for the residency, the mileage for where the town manager lives, or for whatever it is. I think the bylaws need a review at some point. And maybe no changes are made, because they always need to be looked at. That's something that we should continue to do. Economic development was another goal for this past year for Route 38. Looking to secure funding for improvements along 38. Again, that's going to that's just going to be an ongoing project, as you're going to see in my upcoming goals. It's not even a goal anymore, it's a given. It's something we just need to do. We're fortunate this year to have the work done between the lower line and Pike Street, so hopefully more work can continue. So that's an ongoing effort. I can't really say we achieved any of the goal, but it's just something we need to do regardless of goals and objectives. And the other was to assist business owners to improve their property and businesses. Again, there's another portion to this to improve the outreach to stakeholders. I think those are combined this year. We did hold a breakfast with the Lowell 5, along with an insert they did in the Lowell Sun this year. We got a decent turnout. Wish we could have done better. The handout was helpful, bringing attention to the need to Route 38, but we did get a lot of traction with the business owners. We held a best practices workshop for the business owners that we co-funded with some other towns in the region. I didn't think we had a great turnout for that with Middlesex 3 communities. So we'll continue to think of ways to do outreach, but as we've had in the past, turnouts, it's not as easy to get the turnouts we'd like, so we'll continue to do that. Again, I think the work of the Economic Development Committee and the things that Bruce and Group is doing will show improvement here. It's also that anything we've done in the past. So, and then the last goal was just to complete the land transfers to the Commonwealth for the cemetery land as well as the Livingston Street land. And the cemetery land, new legislation was filed this past year with the help of the Senate Battalion's office, and the recreation land transfers. We're waiting some information from DCAM. We had a meeting this past week with them. We're waiting for some further information from them on what they need from us. And Representative Lyons and Senator Battalion's office was at the meeting. They've been very helpful, along with Representative Maselli's office on both issues. So we're kind of at the mercy of the state at the moment on those issues. And one thing I noted when I reviewed all the goals from the past year, when I look at them, I said, gee, we do a lot. But when you look back at the year, we had a good year. It was a busy year. I don't put it down as a goal, and again, like Route 38, it's a given that we're going to make sure we have a balanced budget, present a budget to town meeting that is approved by town meeting and ready for July 1. Close the year financially strong. The upgrade by Standard & Poor's was no small feat. I think that was a major accomplishment this past year. We bid a lot of projects over the past year, whether it was the fencing for Livingston, the upgrades to the Elk Learning School, to tried to sell the Pike House on a couple of occasions. We sold the police station and demolished the police station itself, the old former police station itself. So a lot of work was done there. And then again, because it's just, it never should be a goal, it's something we do. All the collective bargaining agreements were finalized. No major issues approved by town meeting. So that was important, as well as the changes to our personnel bylaw, employee schedule based on the study that was done. So that was done all this past year. So overall, I think we had a successful year. Didn't accomplish all the things we wanted to accomplish, some things that were not set out as goals. It's just the environment we work in. It's ever changing, as you know better than anybody. So that was how the goals went this past year. Any questions before I go to the goals for the upcoming year?
No. Cross that.
So the remainder of this year and going into next year, 4 goals. First being to continue capital projects and improve planning. That'll be on the list every year because we always have new projects. We want to complete the completion of the water treatment plant upgrades, which are underway. I do want to secure additional funding for the installation of new fencing at Livingston Street Recreation Facility. We have enough funding to do some of it, but not all of it. Want to continue to develop long-range plans for recreation facilities and fields and their maintenance. I think we're getting better, but we still have a ways to go. These fields are used a lot. I want to make sure they're not only safe, but they're being maintained properly for use. Securing funding for the design and build of a new second fire station is a major priority going into next year. securing funding improvements for DPW facility. DPW facility. We're going to need to make improvements to the facility and probably additions to that facility. And then improvements to the town center, securing funding for that. Those three items, the center, fire station, DPW, and the town center, will be a major focus over next year. A lot of good work's been done by the town center master plan committee. We obviously know the need for a new center, fire station, DPW facility, and those are going to be the major focus over next year. Now, I don't list the need for the elementary schools. What needs to be done for those elementary schools in my list, because those obviously are my priorities, but I don't want to diminish that being an important part of what we do over next year, because that'll be a major focus also. Another goal will be to develop, continue to develop and improve policies. As I mentioned earlier, I want to make sure we can put the policies in place to assist the Board of Selectmen. And as I said earlier, it's just taking the time to do it. The bylaws just need to be reviewed and just brought up to date. Recommended changes. And I know they're not easy to do at town meeting. Town meeting doesn't like to make those changes because they sometimes just like to what the bylaws are. I think they need to be reviewed. That's something I plan to talk to Charles, because the work that he's done over the years with some of the bylaws, and see what changes we can make, because I think we all know changes should be made. We did try to undertake it a couple of years ago, and we just got stalled in doing it. I want to continue with the land transfers, work with the delegation to finalize the cemetery land transfer. That's long overdue. The cemetery corporation is going to run out of space, so we need to get that land transfer done. And then the recreation fields get that done also. And then the final goal has to deal with the budget for the upcoming year. I didn't prioritize where the goals would be, which is more important than the others, but even though this is number 4, this is one of the more important goals that I have for the FY17 budget. I'm not sure we're going to be able to do it financially, but we do need a facilities management position in the town. We need it on the town side, and where it goes in the future is up for discussion, but we need a facilities manager in the community. We saw over this past year with the winter we had, that it wasn't only just challenging for snow removal on our streets and in our parking lots, but the problems we have with roofs and buildings was something we've never seen before. And we need a facility manager to not just assist me, but the library, the senior center director, or the police chief, whoever had these ice dams and these roof problems, these shoveling roofs, just needs to be brought to life, and we just need someone to help with our facilities. I believe, and I think others believe, that if we did hire someone, we'd probably save that money easily a year from the things that we need to do. The other thing I'd like to do, if funding is available, is to finally hire an assistant town manager. And that doesn't necessarily mean creating a position of assistant town manager and hiring a position of assistant town manager. That maybe can be done within the existing staff, promoting someone from within, not only take on the work that they do, but take on some extra work as assistant town manager, maybe backfill their position with a lesser position to help fill the void. So there's creative ways of doing it, but I think the position is warranted because of the work that we're not getting to. Some goals that we don't do that someone else can address. And things like procurement needs to be a focus for them. Ushering in some of these other capital projects, whether they're large or small. So that's an item. And then the final budgetary goal, and again, all three of them are real wish list, but hopefully whether it's in May's town meeting or next September's town meeting, I'd like to address them. The last one is increasing the staff in the DPW highway division. We have 9 people that handle all the infrastructure, whether it's drainage, roads, sidewalks. Now we're putting rocks into additional people, but still it's a lot of work for 9 people. We just need to focus on increasing staff in that area. So that's the major budget goals that I want to see happen. Again, I don't think they'll happen in May, but that doesn't mean they can't happen in September. So that's it for next year. And I'm open to any additions or changes.
Comments?
I'm curious, from the superintendent of the DPW, what if he had his way, it's 9 in there now handling parks and drainage and infrastructure. What the number would be?
Probably 4.
4 more?
You want to get to, I had this discussion with them. It'd be good if we can get to a point with the DPW that we have enough staff to do the maintenance and upkeep of what we have, and then a group that's focused on, say, what we call construction, doing patching roads that really should be patched, and fixing drainage and things like that, taking on smaller projects that, when you outsource, they're much more costly. So you can have staff dedicated to roadside cutting, clear up the sidewalks, just improving the way the town looks, and then another group doing construction. So I think 4 is probably.
But as you mentioned, those 4 aren't going to be just those
You're not gonna
direct
get
costs
them.
because you're going to have savings on the outsourcing and contracting.
You would.
For that word.
And you're not going to get 4 all in 1 year all the time. 9 is, you stretch them thin, and when you have a winter like we just had, by the time you get to the good weather, you're trying to do projects, maybe do some things with overtime, they're white. And when you think about it, when you hit the summer or you're on vacations, there are times you're down to 2 guys. It makes it difficult to get things done. The summer help has been working out well, but they're limited in what they can do. It's just a major roads. We've addressed, for the most part, fire, we've addressed, for the most part, police, as far as staffing. Non-DPW basically focused.
Mr. Gay, I think you started to have a comment.
No, I'll wait till we.
Okay. Mr. Penello?
Yeah, I just would like to strongly support the notion of both the facilities management position and the assistant town manager. Just like you mentioned, the efficiencies or the savings of having a few extra DPW people to save us on outsourcing. I'd rather not drive down Main Street and see our chief of police with his head out the window shoveling snow off his roof. He has other things to do. And being at your department meetings and hearing, the director of council of aging and all of the other department heads dealing with all of these facilities issues, just inefficiencies alone on the salary we pay our department heads that we're losing because they're dealing with these issues. That if they had a person to call up and say, there's a problem with my roof, and then they go back to doing what they need to do, that alone is worth every penny we spend on that position.
Absolutely.
And I would agree with those comments. I think of all of these goals, while I guess it's hard to say